Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Joanne Davey. We warmly welcome Group Captain Ernie Walsh, retired, President of the ACT Division of the Air Force Association. And as always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Eyre, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flying Officer Thomas Frank Eyre, who was killed during the Second World War. Thomas Eyre was born on the 17th of October 1922 at Katanning, Western Australia, to Thomas and Evelina Eyre. When Thomas was 10 years old, his family was camping at Emu Point in Albany. His father had gone to Gull Rock to fish with some friends when he was washed off the rocks and into the surf. He was knocked unconscious and drowned. In 1934, Thomas's mother, Evelina, married Henry Bumstead. Thomas worked as a farmhand on the family farm called Knollmere in Murradup, Western Australia. He enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 20th of May 1942, aged 19. Trained as a pilot, he received his wings in May 1943 and was made sergeant. Eyre embarked for overseas service from Sydney on the 22nd of June 1943, arriving in the UK in September. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, bomb aimers, wireless operators, air gunners and flight engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined British and Commonwealth squadrons based in Britain. Further specialist training followed in England, and in November, Eyre was promoted to flight sergeant. The following June, he was commissioned as a pilot officer, and on the 28th of August 1944, he was posted as a flying officer to number 467 Squadron RAAF. As part of Bomber Command, the squadron flew the four-engined Avro Lancaster Hemi bomber. On the night of the 11th of November, Bomber Command launched a raid on the oil refineries at Harburg, Germany. Flying Officer Eyre was a pilot of Lancaster POQ, which took off from the Royal Air Force Base at Waddington at 4:30 p.m. Number 467 Squadron committed 19 aircraft to the mission. 2 aircraft failed to return, including Eyre's Lancaster. The crew had overshot the target and was swinging back around when a wing was hit by enemy fire. It is likely that the bomb load was struck, with the plane crashing near Ramerslow, about 13 kilometres south of the target. Air Gunner Flight Sergeant Thomas Nillen was knocked out by the explosion and woke as he plummeted towards the ground. He managed to pull his parachute's ripcord and landed with a broken leg. He was made a prisoner of the Germans but survived the war. Flying Officer Thomas Eyre and rest of the crew were killed in the crash. Also on board were Australian Flight Sergeants Edwin Charman, George French, Geoffrey Goodfellow and Edward Leake, as well as British Sergeant Harry Boardman. After the war, the remains of Commonwealth servicemen buried in Europe were examined and identified where possible. Eyre and his crew were found buried at Bracknell, just south of the crash site, and they were reinterred at the Kiel War Cemetery, more than 115 kilometres to the north. Eyre lies there under the inscription, "His duty nobly done." He was 22 years old. Flying Officer Thomas Eyre's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flying Officer Thomas Frank Eyre, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget,
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Eyre or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.